The question is why? Why are we here? To say our hellos and goodbyes, then disappear. This beautiful life, what is it for? To learn how to masterpiece or master war. There's only one answer that matters, even if your heart has been shattered. Whatever you want, whatever you are after, love is still the answer. Love is still the answer. Love, 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 love. Love, love, we all make mistakes. Maybe God made us all from an accident. And the question that sits on everyone's lips is why should we pick ourselves up and start over again? There's only one answer that matters, even if your heart has been shattered. Whatever you are, whatever you are after, love is still the answer. Love is still the answer. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. The question I'll ask at the end of my days is what did I give and what will I take? There's only one answer that matters, even if your heart and your dreams have been shattered. Whatever you are, whatever you are after, love is still the answer.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Reverend Jennifer Nordstrom. My pronouns are she and her. I'm honored to serve this congregation as your senior minister. Our opening words this morning are by Heraclitus. The poem, "Change Alone is Unchanging." Whosoever wishes to know about the world must learn about it in its particular details. Knowledge is not wisdom. In searching for the truth, be ready for the unexpected. Change alone is unchanging. The same road goes both up and down. The beginning of a circle is also its end. Not I, but the world says it. All is one. And yet, everything comes in season. Will you please rise and body your spirit for our opening hymn number 100, Peace Like a River. Pointer Mason, Adam Zager are going to come up now to tell you about our pledge drive, as it is Pledge Drive opening Sunday.
On November 8th, 2025, the day that we entered the second term, everything changed. Suddenly, I knew what was wrong in our country, in our democracy. I knew that community and democracy was something that I was due. It was something I deserved. It was my birthright. If I didn't have community, somebody, somewhere was doing something wrong. I just needed to find the right complaint department. So I tried out Reverend Jennifer. She invited me into her office. She listened to my complaints. Why, I asked, doesn't First Church have a social justice group specifically in solidarity with Milwaukee's immigrant community? Jennifer nodded. She squinted her eyes and clicked her ballpoint pen once, then twice. Yes, She said, why doesn't First Church have a social justice group specifically in solidarity with Milwaukee's immigrant community? Jennifer's ability to sit in uncomfortable silence was extraordinary. We had reached a UU standoff. To act, a novel concept. I was paralyzed in entitled homeostasis, standing in line, a number in hand, waiting for my turn in front of the complaint department that only took petitioners every 4 years. Finally, I broke the silence and my paralysis. What if we call it something like immigrant solidarity in action? And so, this Tuesday, February 10th, 6 to 7:30 in the Lean House Common Room, we have an ISA meeting. There will be, all right, yeah, thank you. There will be tea and an agenda. There will be song from Milwaukee Justice Singers, and there will be an author and a potential book group. You are invited. For me, co-creating a First Church committee continues to unveil the ultimate hidden truth of the universe, and it is, community is not something that we are due. We must create it. In order for me to ponder my big questions and to soothe my anxieties, I must cultivate a relationship with the divine, and this relationship must be personal, collective, and dynamic. First Church has become my collective, and I now understand that it must be nurtured. My family's financial gifts, our cultivation of this collective, provides my soul with its needed nurturing because I am helping make it, and it happens again and again. I am pushed forward past paralysis. I hope that you will act and will join my family in our financial support of the First Unitarian Society of Milwaukee. Together, in community, we will thrive.
So we all have reasons for giving, and I think one of the cool things about this month, if you all indulge it, is that we get to hear each other's stories, or some of our stories. For our family, you know, inspirational people like Michael and Desiree, and the fact that they show up and they show the broader community what our community is about, as well as the fact that we have ministers and fellow members on the front lines of the protest, both locally and nationally, are great reasons to give and keep this community going. Wherever you give, wherever you're here, all parts of this community do require money to make us go. I think it was a few weeks ago that Nancy Spranzi informed us that to do good work and have great infrastructure, you need cash. Something we all probably knew, but it's a good reminder. To fund our work, to fully fund the work, this year we need to raise $1 million. That's a lot of money, folks. You know, relative to prior years, it may require some of us to increase our donation significantly. But I think we can do it, and Reverend Jennifer helped me write this, and she thinks we can do it too. For the past few years, our pledge messaging has centered around, you know, doing more with less. And, you know, this year I'd like us to think about what it'd be like to do more with more, including, you know, fully funding needed positions, especially as in the wake of what caused Michael's epiphany, more people have had epiphanies and joined us here, and it'd be nice to have fully funded positions to support those turning to us in this time. So, I'd like everyone to consider what we can do to make us fully funded and make that a reality. Now, briefly, I'd like to talk about how we can do that. There is a QR code that allows you to pledge directly on there. There will be a couple tall people and a bassist at coffee hour to help talk you through any questions you might have. And we do, as usual, have a pretty cool pledge project surrounding our theme of rooted, rising, and thriving, the tree theme. So please consider your donation. Please consider the letter that you received and whether you're up for helping us meet our goals. Thank you.
Dear ones, we have a candle of life today. I'm so sorry to share with you the news of a death in our community. If you hadn't already heard, Angelo Nelson died of a gunshot wound in the apartment building next to the church on Monday, February 2nd. Angelo was 50 years old, and he had been our neighbor for over 5 years. His mother, Patricia, called her son a jokester, a foodie, a volunteer, a sports enthusiast, and a very stylish dresser. His brother, Marshall, said that the best way to describe Angelo was love, just pure love. Today, we will be giving away the church's half of our offering plate to the Nelson family in order to support funeral costs. It is our practice in this congregation to light our candle of life for a birth, an adoption, or a death among our members and our friends. Today, we light our candle of life in honor of our neighbor, Angelo Nelson. Will you join me now in a time of contemplation? We will follow it with silence and then the seated singing of Spirit of Life, hymn 123. Spirit of life and love, Holy One of our being and our becoming, that which is sacred within, among, and beyond us. Gather in with us today and wrap around weary hearts. Comfort the grieving and reveal the bonds that connect each to all. May we feel the interdependent web of existence this morning. May we notice our entanglement with all that is. And in that connection, may we be moved to act in love for our neighbor, in care for the stranger, that we might be part of building the beloved community. May it be so.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Society of Milwaukee. My name is Amanda Pansera, she, her, and I'm proud to serve as your worship associate this morning. We are a faith community of many identities. We welcome people of all genders, sexualities, ages, races, ethnicities, histories, abilities, and bodies. We welcome your mind, your heart, and your spirit. We welcome all you are carrying with you today and all your heart longs to set down. We welcome all the people watching online as we live stream this service. Hello, Internet. We enthusiastically welcome guests joining us today. If you are a guest visiting in person and want to connect with us, please fill out a welcome card located in the pew rack in front of you and drop it in the offering plate that will come around in a few moments. If you're visiting online and want to connect, a link to connect with us will soon appear in the chat for you to click on and to fill out. Someone from church will then reach out to you, and after the service, we invite you all to join us for a social hour across the hall in the Lean House Common Room. Some accessibility notes: hearing assist devices and large print hymnals and orders of service are at the back of the sanctuary, along with worship activity bags for children and for anyone who wants them. There is a fragrance-free area in the front right pews. If you're watching online, you can enable YouTube's closed captioning on your viewing device. Some announcements. All are welcome to join the Earth Justice Gathering today from 12:30 to 2 in the Young Room for food, fun, and futures activities. Join Immigrant Solidarity and Action, and Michael, and Community for their meeting on February 10th from 6 to 7:30 in the Lean House Common Room. Let's support our neighbors, immigrants, and the larger Milwaukee Democracy Coalition in saying ICE-free MKE. This is the quietest announcement of this morning. We're hosting a silent retreat at Cedar Valley, April 24th to 26th. If silence intrigues you, confuses you, or feels like a relief, come chat with a silent retreat committee member in the Lean House Common Room during coffee hour. Please help the guest house meal team provide the Saturday evening meal at the guest house shelter on Saturday, February 21st. See the announcements and social justice table in the common room for more information. I now invite you to share in our first church purpose by joining me in a unison affirmation of our mission, which is printed in your order of service. We gather to nurture the spirit, engage the mind, and inspire action.
Will Jean Johnson and Noreen Gilbertson please come up? We're going to honor Jean. This is her first full week of retirement.
Good morning. I want to congratulate Jean on such a well-deserved retirement. Yes. She worked so hard, and I know that a lot of people who are relatively new don't know everything she's done in this church. And so instead of talking about that, I'm going to invite you to talk to the elders. It's quite a story. We had a nice party for her yesterday, retirement party, and there were a lot of tributes, and one of them was from Drew, who hired Jean in 1998 when he was the only full-time member of our church, with a few part-time staff members. Yes. With some part-time, some staff, RE and secretary. So he came into this church, and I knew this when I came here, because I came here around the same time, but the church was a mess. And structurally, there was mold in the basement, the roof leaked, the organ didn't work. It was a disaster. And this is, one of the things that Jean walked into. I don't know if she realizes, but we had committees, and Jean led all the volunteers, and she has many, many, many volunteers that worked on this building. We actually raised $1.5 million to do the work. She did not do that, but it's amazing, 28 years ago, that we could raise that. Being a volunteer for the first time at the church, I became friends, and it was all under the guidance of Jean, who was so gentle with us, and, got us, walking forward without stumbling too much, which is a unique talent. So, what was I gonna say? I just really wanted to thank her for her 28 years, just acknowledging what she's done in the community. And I look forward to seeing her in December at church, because she has to take a year off from the church. But I am also looking forward to spending her first year of retirement outside of the church. So you guys can go and have coffee with her, even though she's not allowed to come back into the church just for transitions.
No church talk.
No church talk, yes. I failed even today because I'm looking for the paper plates, and Jean, I'm like, Jean, where's the paper? Oh, I'm like, no, I can't ask Jean anymore. So I found the paper plates all by myself. I'm very proud of myself. And because of that, we will have cake. So congratulations.
Want to say thank you for allowing me to serve here for so long. And when I took this job, I didn't imagine it might become a career, much less a real calling. And I love you all, and I really look forward to coming back at Christmas time and sitting in the pews with you and not finding the paper plates unless assigned to do that as a volunteer. Thank you so much.
This is a legacy of love. Jean has shaped this institution with her life. And we love her for it, and we so look forward to seeing you again soon, dear one. The offering. Our pledges are at the core of our spiritual practice of generosity, and in addition, the church shares the non-pledge cash in our offering plate with community organizations practicing our value of interdependence. Today, we are going to give the entire offering away, splitting all cash between our February offering recipient, the Black String Triage Ensemble, which uses music as a healing force for the soul in the immediate aftermath of community violence, and the family of Angelo Nelson, who was killed by gun violence on our block this week. Information on how to give is in your order of service. The offering will now be gratefully received as we sing seated our children's recessional hymn, the traditional African American spiritual Guide My Feet, number 348. I invite all children, youth, and faith formation volunteers to sing the first verse of the hymn and then follow Reverend Kimberly across the hall to the Lean House Common Room. If your child needs to check in, please accompany them.
past May, I attended a motherless Mother's Day brunch. Until a few weeks prior, I hadn't even known this community existed in Milwaukee, a women's support group for those of us whose mothers have died. It had been just over 10 years since my mom died, which feels simultaneously like a lifetime and a blip in time. As it does, my grief over her loss has evolved many times since her death, and this year, I needed this space to check in with myself and her memory. At the event, we were encouraged to bring a photo of our mom. A photographer was there to take our portrait with that photo. There was a build your own bouquet station and a letters to the dead workspace. After some socializing, we gathered as a group, and each of the nearly 50 women present was invited to say their name, their mother's name, our ages at her passing, how she died, and something everyone should know about her. When it was my turn, I realized it had been many years since I had said her name or introduced her to a crowd. I'm Amanda. My name is Cheryl. I was 30 and she was 54 when she died as a result of alcoholic cirrhosis. She had as many strengths as she did weaknesses. She was one of the first women on the Milwaukee Fire Department, and her laugh was infectious. She did her best with what she had and who she was. We heard so many different stories, so many different versions of heartache. We made eye contact and passed tissues. We nodded along and shared hugs with strangers. After we closed out the program, we gravitated to others with similar stories. While the loss of a mother is a shared experience, the details surrounding her death can be so varied, and many of us needed to find someone who understood just a bit more deeply. I met Jessica, the only other person to name addiction as the cause of her mother's death. We swapped stories and grief and frustration and joy and ultimately gratitude. Thank you for knowing. This experience of building connection through story has happened many times over in my total of nearly 4 years as a worship associate. I've stood here and shared my most vulnerable stories, first because I knew this was a safe space of shared values and community, and then because every time I did, a new person would come into my life and say, "Me too." These moments have offered hope, healing, and provided opportunity to know myself even more. When I told my story of infertility, I was able to release the grief, to set down all I was carrying. After the service, a mom walked up to me in the receiving line, introduced her teenage son, and said, "This is my infertility baby." She offered hope, and telling my story opened space for me to receive it. The next month, I was pregnant with Zoe, who just walked out of here to go to RE. She'll be 7 next week. I'm sorry, faith formation. When I shared about my complicated relationship with my mother, a friend came to me and said, "I have a similar story and I needed to hear yours. It can be lonely." That was years ago, but even just a few weeks ago, we found ourselves huddled together at a large solstice gathering, whispering about the challenges of holiday and family. When in doubt, we have each other. I've shared about the challenges of marriage and the effort it takes to continue committing to partnership. I've reflected on privilege as a white person, about the challenges of trying to connect with middle school students, and the intersection of grief and joy. And stories can happen anywhere, between anyone. You don't need a microphone to share your truth, your vulnerability, your history. Every time a short story is shared, a new connection is made. New bridges are built across the span of human existence. Stories enrich our community and bond us together. Stories bring us to the core of who we are, what we've experienced, and how we've learned. A reminder of how we've survived thus far and what it will take to stay. By learning from our histories, celebrating the magical web of interconnectedness, strung together by a collective belief that we are most powerful when we experience life together.
I am receiving I trust the movement. I negate the chaos, uplift the negative. I'll show up at the table again and again and again. I'll close my mouth and learn to listen. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. 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 These times are poignant. The winds have shifted. It's all we can do to stay uplifted. Pipelines through backyards, wolves howling out front. Yeah, I got my crew, but truth is what I want. Realigned and on point, power to the peaceful, prayers to the waters, women at the center, all vessels open to give and receive. Let's see the system brought down to its knees. Oh, oh, oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Ooh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Ooh. I'm made of thunder, I'm made of lightning, I'm made of dirt, yeah, made of the fine things. My father taught me that I'm a speck of dust, and this world was made for me, so let's go and try love. I got my roots down, 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 deep. I got my roots down, 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 deep. I got my roots down, 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 deep. I got my roots down, 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 deep. So what are we doing here? What has been done? What are you gonna do about it when the world comes undone? My voice feels tiny, I'm sure so does yours. But put us all together, make a mighty roar. A mighty roar. I am resilient, I trust the movement, I negate the chaos, uplift the negative. I'll show up at the table again and again and again. I'll close my mouth and learn to listen.
Two weeks ago, I was in Minneapolis with around 700 other clergy folks. People came from all over the country to answer the call from our Minneapolis neighbors to bear witness to ICE's terrorism of the Twin Cities. I was there for 5 days, and each of them felt like a week. On Friday, January 23rd, I traveled with a busload of clergy to make a pilgrimage from George Floyd Square to the memorial for Renee Good. In that pilgrimage, with, 50 clergy folks on a chartered bus, ICE was following us. And there was a car of legal observers that was following ICE. At some point, ICE decided to turn around and direct their attention to the car full of observers behind them. They broke their car window and tried to kidnap one of them until more and more community members showed up, blowing their whistles and alerting people until there were enough people surrounding the scene that ICE decided to leave. Witness is important. Community showing up is powerful. Moral voices in this moment matter. We have to tell these stories, the stories of how we survived and what it's going to take to stay, because our stories shape our shared reality. We have to bear witness and speak the truth of the many with moral authority in a world that is being devastated by depravity at the highest levels of power. In those days in Minneapolis, with 700 clergy from all over the country, all different faith traditions, people were gathering stories to bring back to their communities. 200 of those clergy folks, 200 out of 700, were Unitarian Universalists. This is what it means to root down deep into our values, and there in the ground to gather strength and nourishment from our interdependence and the truth of the inherent worth of every human being. We pull that nourishment up, the nourishment of our values, and then pull it into how we live in the world, showing up for our neighbors. I've seen you all showing up for our neighbors here in Milwaukee, showing up for democracy. If you have been to some justice activity in the last week, will you raise your hand right now? Okay, last 2 weeks, raise your hand. Okay, and now if you've supported someone who's been to a justice activity in the last week, will you raise your hand right now? If you've cooked food or done the laundry or cleaned the dishes. Because it's not only about the folks who are showing up at the protests, it's also about all of the roles supporting them. Not everyone who is doing the work of justice and equity has to do it as a protester. We each have a role to play in the story of building the beloved community. There's teaching, there's visioning, there's caretaking, there's dealing with the material realities of body and food and home and hearth. We root down deep into the practices that ground us in community. We show up for one another in a variety of different ways, and we engage in shared practice. Studies have shown that people who gather together and do spiritual practice with one another increase the depth of their spiritual practice and co-regulate. Our hearts sync up with one another. Our breath deepens. Our nervous systems open up. They become more receptive and connected. Our collective nervous system, when we co-regulate, that is how we embody resilience so that we can help any individual navigate the ups and downs that come with these struggles. So while our individual trees that we are growing are unique, our roles are particular, and each one is valued, our roots are down deep in the earth, entangled with one another, keeping us strong and resilient. Ecosystems and trees and gardens, the natural world, it shows us the truth of how it's possible to thrive. It's through biodiversity and entanglement. This is what our values proclaim. This is the truth of the big story that we're telling, that we are each entangled with each other. We share our stories to get clear about the particulars, get into the individual details, and through that we learn more about each other, but we also learn more about the big story, about life and love and wholeness, because none of us in our individual particulars has the total story of the world and how it works. Each of us is just holding a part of the big story, a thread of the larger garment. Every generation, we human beings seem to need to relearn this truth, that we are all interdependent and we rise or fall together. Dr. King called this the inextricable network of mutuality, that we are in a single garment of shared destiny. The truth is, it's not actually possible to tear us apart from one another. That is an illusion, but it is a powerful one. And it creates cruelty and harm here on earth. It tempts people into a narrative of domination, a single story. But the truth is, we are either going to all go to heaven together, or we're all going to create a shared hell here on earth. We get there together, or we never get there at all. When we listen, really listen to everyone's stories, we learn how to build a society that serves the whole, that serves the individuals in their particulars and the one being of us that is constantly becoming. When we listen and tell a multitude of stories, we can overcome the toxic single story of white nationalism. We can tell the more glorious stories, the stories of biodiversity and beauty and magic and flowers and trees in a forest, an ecosystem thriving in full bloom. In this generation's learning, in our turn at the wheel, there are indeed stories of human cruelty. We tell those stories too. We tell them to honor the pain and to grieve with the grieving. We tell them to cry out at injustice and lament with those who have been harmed. I was in Minneapolis with 700 clergy because the community asked us to come witness the terror that ICE was wreaking on the community. The kidnappings, the deportations, the families ripped apart, the murder. We supported local clergy who were arrested at the Minneapolis airport. 100 clergy folks from the Twin Cities kneeled on the ice-cold ground in -20 degrees in front of an airport that had become the face of deportations. On that same day, 75,000 people marched for hours. Again, did I say it was -20 degrees? They came together, we came together to say no to ICE, to say stop terrorizing our communities. And we were beautiful, and we were collaborative, and we were powerful, and we had icicles in our eyebrows. And it was a glorious story of biodiversity. And then the next day, Saturday, January 24th, Alex Preddy, the veterans ICU nurse whose parents live in Wisconsin, was killed by masked ICE agents. When he was murdered, he was putting his body between those agents and two women who had been thrown to the ground. We tell the stories of cruelty to bear witness and to hold them in our shared care. But they are not the only story. The story of beauty of the day before is the reason the horror that happened the next day. And the horror that happened the next day meant that more people showed up in beauty and love than even showed up the day before. The trick of stories of white supremacy and domination is to collapse that beauty into a single story of toxicity and harm. It is to tempt us with a story of division or superiority when the truth of the matter is that more and more people are showing up with love and care for our neighbors. We keep telling the stories of multiplicity and biodiversity, of beauty and complexity and life to pour out love like a salve on the wounds. And we surround our beloveds, our neighbors and our friends and community when they're hurting because we will show up again and again with food, with care, with clean laundry and rides and offers to watch the children. The community that was on the street that day, the community that was with Alex when he was killed, they moved forward. They moved in to protect one another, to protect the witnesses. They worked together to hold the space and did their best to preserve the crime scene. That afternoon, I joined a group of ministers who showed up on an hour's notice to support the community as chaplains, to provide spiritual first aid immediately to the people. And then that night, the call went out for neighborhoods to hold vigils at 7 p.m. all over the cities. Every block by block, was invited to gather and light candles and tell stories and to pray. I was with Reverend Jen Crow, who's the senior minister of the First Universalist Church of Minneapolis, which is in the neighborhood where Alex was killed. When her neighbor knocked on the door and said, "Hey, I'm going to host the gathering tonight. We're just going to gather in my backyard and sing and pray." But Jen had already said yes to another neighbor, a congregant who lived 5 blocks from her, who lived on Alex's blocks. So we put on our snow pants again and our winter boots, and we walked the 5 blocks to Alex's house where people were gathering. And on the way, in that 5-block walk, we saw 5 vigils. 5 different blocks of regular people gathering with their neighbors, coming out of their homes with little candles in their hands. The Twin Cities are surviving right now on mutuality, on shared care. They are doing the collaborative work of showing up for their neighbors and thereby holding the line for democracy. Every day, regular people are taking shifts. A friend of a friend said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't be there right now. I have to go out and be on patrol at the elementary school." And my friend was like, "That's surprising. Did this person really change their living practices?" And her friend was like, "Nope, it's just what we have to do now." Yeah. Everyday regular people are just taking shifts because that's what is required of us. I'm sure you've all seen the videos of people filming ICE agents and running towards trouble in order to help their neighbors, blowing whistles and singing and marching. And behind all of those videos are lots of other regular people who are showing up to walk the kids to school and bringing groceries to people who aren't able to leave their homes. There are regular businesses that are refusing to serve ICE and offering their service for free to protesters. The networks of mutuality, they're block by block. They are incredible. They're the most powerful embodied resilience that I have ever seen. When we gathered that night in a small circle, 30 or 40 people of Alex's neighbors, there were stories of beauty and courage. One person said, Alex showed up in love to take care of our neighbors, so I'm going to show up now to take care of my neighbors, and I'm going to keep showing up in Alex's name. A young mother talked about her kids and how she's afraid every day, but she gathers courage from her neighbors, from being in community. And she said, well, I guess if Minneapolis has to hold the line for democracy, then we're going to hold the line. Alex's next door neighbor shared a story about Alex helping him trim a tree by holding onto his belt as he leaned off of a ladder. Don't worry, he said. I've got you. I've got you. This is what it means to be a neighbor. This is what it means to practice community. We show up. We care for one another. We get courage from each other. We say, I've got you. I've got you. You won't fall. Love blooms in the dirt, in the wreckage, in the brokenness. Not because brokenness is required, but because love is strong enough, resilient enough to move into the cracks in the broken places. Beloveds, we were made for these times. It is our turn now to tell the story of mutuality, the story of interdependence, of a single garment of destiny, as well as all of the individual particularities, the threads that make up that beautiful bloom of multiplicity. You are beloved, and so is every single child on this earth. We know that from our theology, and then we practice it through showing up for our neighbors, through practicing justice, through developing the networks of mutual aid that it will take for us to survive and keep going. This is our faith. This is Unitarian Universalism. We build power with our stories and our practice out in the world, and we build resilience with our stories and our practice here in the congregation. This is what you do when you show up. When you show up with your hearts wide open, when you show up with your time and talent, when you make a pledge. And every single day, we work to invite more people into the practice with us, into that big story, the big truth of a shared world of mutuality, to show the truth of our entanglement and the belovedness of every single human being. And every day, we invite one more in. May it be so.
one spirit, one voice, sound of one makes a choice. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of voices too. Sound of me singing with you, helping each other to make it through. This is the sound of voices too. This is the sound of voices too. This is the sound of voices three, singing together in harmony, surrendering to the mystery. This is the sound of voices three. This is the sound of voices three. This is the sound of all of us, singing with love and the will to trust. Leave the rest behind, it'll turn to dust. This is the sound of all of us. This is the sound of all of us. This is the sound of one voice, one people, one voice, a song for every one of us. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of one voice.
Dear ones, use your voices. Tell the stories, tell them in their truth and in their particularities, and then weave them together into the bigger story. We are all inextricably entangled in one garment of destiny, and we're either all going to heaven or all going to hell together. Let's go to heaven, loved ones. Alyssa, will you lead us in our closing hymn?
Sure. We're all going to start singing it, and it's the 2 sentences that are printed in your order of service, and just sing with us once you've got it. It's easy. No one is getting left behind this time. No one is getting left behind. No one is getting left behind this time. We'll get there together, never get there at all. We'll get there together, never get there at all. We'll get there together, never get there at all.